So,
Oh, so we have to behave now?
yeah. I can't even get in here, there's another 1 million password. Do you want me to share it with you? No, it's my, this computer's password is my husband's. Gmail,
That's the secret password.
I know, right?
Glynis, before you leave, I need to talk to you for a minute
Okay,
tonight.
we had a, morning from Boston, and I got up at 3:30 East Coast times. I might fade.
I started work at 6. Yeah. And I got home from work at 9:30, at 10, or 10. So you and I both. Had a cup of coffee. I was gonna say, is there any coffee or other?
Yes. There is. It's,
Really?
yeah, and I have powdered creamer too, if you like
Oh, I'm
creamer.
black,
Oh, are you? Okay, so it's,
but that's okay.
okay,
That's all right.
okay,
But I see it now.
yeah. I'm like, there are some nights.
I had a cup of coffee at like 3 o'clock. So I'm like-
I know you are.
Okay. We will now call the July 18, 2024 Hideout Planning Commission meeting to order. First thing we shall do is roll call. Rachel,
Here,
Joel.
Here.
Donna,
here.
Glynis,
Here.
Peter,
Here.
and Chase. Next on the agenda, approval of the meeting minutes from last month. Does anybody have any corrections that they would like to see be made?
No.
No.
They look good.
Nope.
I move that we accept the minutes of June 18th.
Somebody like the second?
A second.
Thank you, Glynis. All right, then we'll vote on it. Rachel,
Yes.
Joel,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Glynis,
Yes.
Tony's yes, Peter,
Yes.
thank you. So then we'll accept the minutes. Now on to the administrative items. One thing on the agenda, presentation and discussion of a concept plan on the parcel 00-0020, actually formerly known as the Boulders and now known as the Saltzman property. Okay, before we start this, I don't know if everybody should have gotten an email in regard to some correspondence from the Mustang Development Attorney. In regard to this, that does not pertain to anything that we are going to decide upon or listen to tonight. That is strictly between Mustang and Nate Brockbank, the developer of this, so it shouldn't come into our thoughts at all in this discussion about this property, or this plan, I should say. Okay, that being said, Thomas, take it away.
All right, thanks, Mr. Chairman. So Nate Brockbank is on this meeting. He's on via Zoom. So he is available to ask questions. I'll run through this pretty quickly. You guys are pretty darn familiar with this side. I think this is our third go round now. And so this is the Salzman property. If you remember, the Salzman property is about 112 or 114 acres in total. That includes the plus or minus 40 acres that has the house and the pond situated on it. This proposal is not for does not include that property. This is just for the 72 plus or minus 72 acres that is essentially to the eastern portion of the site. So this project only includes that right now. The proposal for this project, well, first, I guess I should note that this is now being called Elkhorn Springs. That's the name for this development. Current zoning is mountain, so the concept plans that you have seen before have all requested a rezone. This is just a concept plan. We're not looking at rezone tonight, but it is zoned mountain, 1 unit per acre. This would need to be rezoned if this were to move forward, if you guys gave this a head nod. If you don't mind moving down just a little bit, Alicia. So you can go down to the next page, actually. It gives a bit of information about concept density. The proposal is roughly a little over 2 units per acre. So what Nate is proposing is about 164 units, and 15 to 20,000-ish square feet of neighborhood commercial space. You can see down below that townhomes make up about 61 of the units, single family lots are 54 of the units, kind of a cabin single family unit is 11, and then there's some estate lots that comprise 38 lots on this particular property. You can scroll down a little bit more, Alicia, and you'll see the site context plan. So again, the area pretty much in green is Salzman, give or take a little bit of UDOT property, et cetera. But what you see outlined in red is the 72 acres on the east side that we were talking about. The house and the pond, again, are not part of this, and they're right now they're proposed to remain in place. If you don't mind scrolling down just a little bit more, Alicia, to the concept plan.
Wait, Thomas, could you go back to that for a second?
Sure.
So is the property broken up? Oh no, it's just in red. Okay.
It's just in red, yeah.
Got it.
I think
Okay.
there's 3 or 4 lots that make up that. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I think you guys have had a chance to look at this, and so Alicia, you could maybe leave it there. I'm going to scroll down on my report and kind of walk through some of the density, potential planning issues, items for discussion, but maybe leaving this up for you all is a benefit. Again, the density that's proposed is a little over 200% of what is currently allowed. Probably they could get about 60, 65 single family lots on 72 acres by the time you put in rights of way, et cetera. So this is a little over double what is permitted. That is considerably less of an ask than the prior 2 applications. The first Boulders application proposed about a 500% increase in density, and the second application, Bloom, was about a 300% increase in density. So this is a reduction in proposed density.
And Thomas, before you go forward, in both of those prior projects, we approved the added density, correct?
Yes, they had the planning commission had approved the density increase from a concept perspective. The applicants, if you guys remember, yeah, it's a good reminder, Tony, thanks. The applicants had moved on to the rezoning phase where they were starting to work through the master development agreement. So yeah, the densities were generally settled upon at that point. There was some negotiation back and forth. There was a request for additional commercial, if you guys remember, in both of the applications. Both applicants did do that, but yeah, their densities remained pretty high and they were generally approved at the concept stage by the planning commission.
Yeah, just to jump in, that you guys made a recommendation to council for that increased density in exchange for some of the other items. But this is a brand new application, so we're starting with a clean slate.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, this application is, as I said, much less density, but it's also kind of got different characteristics to it. It's got less commercial, it's more of a residential development with different housing typologies. So as you look at this, again, with any request for rezone, you want to look at what the impacts might be of an upzone density, what some of the trade-offs might be, et cetera, for a density increase. I'll walk through some of that which has been proposed on this site, which includes, if you hear, I'll annotate if I can. Let's see. You guys can see right over here that I circled in red. That area is proposed to be a community center with some indoor pickleball courts, pool, some recreational amenities. It would be a community center that is available to this entire HOA. That would certainly be their community center. as I understand it, and Nate will get into this during Q&A, he has proposed that it would also be made available to the residents of Hideout outside of this HOA for an annual fee or a monthly fee or something like that. So that is something worth noting. The proposed commercial is generally in this area, kind of in the heart of kind of that Main Street road that snakes in. Again, about 15 or 20,000 square feet. Maybe we'd like to see a little more there. That's something that we can talk about tonight as well. You can also see just to the top, to the north of that circle I drew, there's kind of a square area. Right now that's noted as an amphitheater. Nate and I kind of had some discussions last week, and we're questioning whether it should be an amphitheater, could it be a green or a park or a level gathering space, and maybe the small neighborhood commercial gets built around it, some cafes and things that take advantage of maybe that gathering space. We have an amphitheater that's proposed as part of phase 4 of Deer Springs. We also have another amphitheater that is proposed as part of what is right now deemed phase 9 of Shoreline, but could end up being the next phase, which could be phase 4 of Shoreline. So do we need yet another amphitheater? These aren't grand amphitheaters. These are smaller amphitheaters, gathering spaces. Could it be a different kind of gathering space for public concerts, level, cocktail parties, things like that? Something like that, maybe re-envisioning that and kind of wrapping commercial around it as a square might be another way to think about it. The townhouses are generally situated in this area. They kind of surround the commercial. The townhouses have underground parking as proposed. And so the parking spaces you see there that are 90-degree angles on that kind of serpentine Main Street, those would be available for the commercial uses there because the residents would actually park underneath their units. So that's a nice way of getting parking in without having a massive parking lot. Let's see. With regard to some layout and design concerns, we outlined is the amphitheater the right proposal? Maybe flank the park with commercial. Let's see. There was some discussion in the past with regard to the two big projects. Is there an opportunity for maybe workforce housing? Could it maybe be a little bit of workforce housing on the second story of the commercial development? Then Tony kind of alluded to this at the beginning with regard to the attorney, Scott Dubois, the attorney for Mustang. He provided that letter that you guys saw. We did note in our report prior that emergency access road from Golden Eagle to 248, that does bifurcate the property. The applicant is generally proposing to use that road as the main spine entry road. That would have to be, of course, negotiated with the town and with Mustang Development as well. It also deviates a little bit at the bottom. If you take a look down there, you could see that this is that road. Let me just highlight right there. I think it might deviate from the existing easement at the bottom. I'm not sure about that. We'd have to look at that on a survey, but that would have to be negotiated and discussed with the town as well as Mustang Development because they're the ones who coordinated that easement. It's noteworthy that the applicant is proposing to dedicate to the town about 15 or so acres in the area that I outlined in a square. That's a pretty nicely treed area. Could be really some nice trails, could be some park space, could be some maybe cross-country trails. I'm not sure of all the slopes. It's pretty steep up there. It's pretty well wooded too. But the applicant has recommended that would be deeded to the town for use. One of the things we would have to think about with that recommended dedication is how is this accessed? Because it is a little bit steep, we don't have really an opportunity to bring a road off of SR 248. It's unlikely that UDOT would give us a road here, given the distance between, whoops, why is that not working? given the distance between the applicant's proposed road and say a road here. This distance is likely not enough. They typically expect 1,500 to 2,500 feet, depending if we're going to put two intersections back to back. So we'd have to figure out how to get in there. Is there a way to get in there from up here? Is there a way to look at maybe an easement across here? We'd have to look at that. The area I'm circling right now, L, that's a really steep wildlife corridor. It's a pretty steep gully. It's a gulch, and it's a runoff. It's a natural runoff collector space, pretty steep. So we'd have to work with the applicant on that. Nate and I had a brief discussion last week, and I think that we can work through it. It's just something to think about. There are some sensitive lands. This concept plan does have contours. If you look pretty closely at what's faded out under it, it does have the contours. So you can start to see where some of the steeper slopes are, where those contours get a little bit closer together. We'd want to make sure that we, of course, adhere to the sensitive land ordinance with regard to development on slopes over 30%. So that would be one of the subsequent reviews, is a detailed overlay of this concept plan on those slopes with cut and fill and over 30% noted. In the past, there have been discussions with regard to connecting this area to the other side of SR 248. Bridges have been discussed, tunnels. Can we work with UDOT to get a light or something, you know, at the intersection, a crosswalk? It's a wide road, of course, right? But anything that we can do to at some point bring connectivity might be beneficial, especially if folks are going to take advantage of the community center up there at letter F as an amenity. Water rights, the applicant will, of course, have to provide enough water for all of the recommended residential and commercial development. And my final note in here was just that if and as this moves forward, that, you know, we look closely at what the right zoning designations are, probably some R3, R6, and maybe even R20, residential 20 per acre down at that Serpentine Main Street Road, just because of the amount of density that's in that area. So again, this is a concept plan. This is an opportunity for discussion with Nate. You guys know him well. He is on the line, but this is an opportunity for you guys to provide input, direction, and essentially it's not a vote, but, you know, a head nod to, hey, are you guys okay with him moving forward to the next stage, which would be rezoning, and then assuming that does take place, the subdivision.
Thomas, could you also speak to what kind of commercial and the housing types that are being proposed?
Yeah.
That might be helpful.
Yeah, so yeah, as a reminder, the housing types are townhomes, single family, small single family cabins, and then some large estate lots. So it is a pretty good mix of units. There's no stacked flats or anything like that. It's really just townhomes is the most dense. Moving into smaller cabin, single family, then up to single family lots, more typical, kind of getting near the half acre, which is what you're starting to see up in a Golden Eagle. They're more about a half acre to 3/4 of an acre, and then some larger estate lots where you get 2, 3, and 4 acres, depending. The commercial, that is something I think that, you know, as we move forward, commercial in this area is probably going to be important. And so it's probably more neighborhood commercial. It's really not town center commercial as much as we were thinking, given that there may be opportunities in other areas of the town. But making sure this commercial adheres to kind of the neighborhood fabric, right? Because this is primarily residential at this point. So it wouldn't be, you know, a gas station. It wouldn't be, you know, anything with, you know, heavy traffic or anything. Maybe small sundry store, a market, maybe a small market, you know, the typical coffee shop, ice cream restaurant, bar, things like that, that I think people would like to see in this area. So I think as we move forward, if that is indeed the case, and that's what the Planning Commission wants to do, we want to hone in on the details and the specifics of that commercial. But right now, it's generally neighborhood commercial, not town center commercial.
Can we ask questions?
Oh, yeah,
Sure.
please do. That's pretty much everything that I wanted to outline from my report. I wanted to go through that quickly. I know that you guys have seen this property so many times.
What is G, Park City Stairs?
Oh, yeah. So are you familiar with the stairs in Old Town in Park City, like from Woodside down to Park, those stairs?
Yeah.
Yep, there's some areas in here. Can you zoom in just a little, Alicia? I think I might be able to help here. There's some stairs in here where Nate and his designer have taken advantage of the slope. So you're kind of getting some stairs from this road down here to this road down here. They'll drop into the green park area here. I think there's some stairs from this road down into the trail system over here. So he's taken pretty good advantage of the slopes and connected the residents by way of pedestrian stairways to the trails. Which is also nice because these kind of form little easements between lots, which allow people to easily maneuver between houses where they would not otherwise be allowed to do that.
I really like the less dense look and the land to the side that's open space. Accessing it, maybe on the other side of those stairs, that's a parking lot instead of a house or something.
It could
Maybe-
be something up here. This is so steep, we can't get around it, but maybe something up here. And I think Nate's amenable to that. I'll let him certainly speak to it, but I think there may be an opportunity. We should look for an easement, even if we don't make the hard pavement connection right away. It's a good point.
But I think we definitely would need some trail parking. Yeah, just.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's always a big issue.
Yeah, good point.
I felt from the cul-de-sac down on that last lot, on the end of the cul-de-sac of see the circle of the big estate lots, J? Just to the right of J,
Yeah.
connect that road, see that road that comes down off of that circle?
Do something.
Is that a driveway or is that a road?
That is.
It looks like a road into one.
Oh,
into the-
that's a road into these lots. There's 3 lots right here.
Yeah.
I mean, what
Yeah.
do you think about having access through there? I mean,
You
we may
could
have.
Bring it
space.
right through there and provide a
Yeah.
little bit smaller lots. Yeah, that could be a connection. Again, we'll look at the slopes, but I think that's probably a very logical spot because this here is just tough slopes.
And then it wouldn't be as much, sorry,
No,
it wouldn't be as big of a road to.
You're right, but if you have a big lot and a big beautiful house on it, you don't really want people traipsing
Right.
by your house. That's the only other downside. I mean, that was a good
Mhm.
idea.
Maybe there.
Anyway.
Yeah,
I
it's
did-
something we'll have to think about. It is just a detail that I think will matter just in terms of should we want to access this 15 acres beyond pedestrian or bike means.
Yeah. How do you, any sense of how many parking spots that is down on that road down there?
This-
Like, how can people access their garages if there's parking in front of it?
Actually, if you could zoom in on that area, Alicia, I can probably explain this, and Nate, certainly feel free to jump in, but you can see here that these parking lots in here are, kind of 45 or 90-degree angle, depending what it is. The townhouses access underneath, they drive under and access behind. So this is their access.
Oh,
And how much
oh, I see it.
of the A, how many of those buildings, and I know this is just concept, how much of that is actually retail? Is it just that one building?
It's pretty
Is it-
much just this area right there. And I think, again, we might want to reconfigure that so it's not as linear. It's a little more square. It's a little more cozy because it's not a lot of space, but it could be pretty extraordinary space. And I think Nate's amenable to that. But it's mostly what you just see in the circle I identified.
And would it make sense to move, let's say, I'll call it the fitness center closer to that, so all of that kind of commercial spaces together? I don't know the sight lines, the views up there. That lower part may have a better view, but would it make more sense to put everything in one spot?
Mhm.
And
When you say, go ahead.
about the fitness center, that's gonna be HOA property, right?
That would be an HOA amenity, yeah.
Yeah, and so from what I've heard in the town, grumblings or whatever you wanna call them, that the pickleball courts at Deer Springs are owned by the HOA,
Mhm.
managed by the HOA. Do they really want the whole town using their pickleball courts, so they have to maintain the pickleball courts? Would it be better to donate some of that land to the town and maybe have the town manage it, or not have the HOA manage it and have an issue where we potentially have here in Deer Waters?
Yeah, that's a good ask. That's a good item for discussion, certainly. Yeah.
I'm wondering where the venue concept disappeared to, because last EDC meeting, we had Ari from Park City Institute talking about walking the space and excited about potentially programming. And we have a meeting with Park City mayor and manager about how we collaborate on that. So I'm just wondering, where did that concept go?
Jan, was that envisioned right here?
Yes, we were talking about potentially working in collaboration with programming that, which could be a very good economic opportunity for the town.
What do you, we're clueless, Jan.
Yeah,
do you
what means
mean?
programming? What means programming?
Okay. You're talking about the
Sorry?
everything? No, the circle, what is a circle?
We don't understand what you're talking about,
Yeah.
Dan.
What does programming mean, Jan?
Programming is bringing bands into town, bringing people to the destination who spend money and leave. It's destination type development. So I'm just curious what happened in the interim, just since I've started some energy and some collaborative work. You know, where did that vanish to?
Well, Jan, this is the first time the planning commission seeing this plan, so.
Right. Yeah, we had a concept plan in front of the EDC, so I'm just wondering what happened in the interim.
Well, if we have other amphitheaters coming on board, I mean, I assume you're talking about amphitheater space.
Yeah, and we
Right.
certainly don't need 3.
Right.
And, you know, just circling all the way back, we had on the boulders a concept, which wasn't as workable as this, at the top of the property. And Park City Institute and other members came and walked the property and thought this lower level would be a better outdoor concert venue. So anyway, I was just, you know, I've created momentum in that way, which could be a very good economical boon for the town. And just curious, like, if it's still in the thinking or if it's not practical. So anyway, just wondering what happened there.
Sharon, nothing's happened, other than myself, nobody else that's sitting here at this table has seen this prior to receiving it in the mail. So they're not privy to the discussions the EDC had, that we've had, so. It's not that anything's happened to it, it's just the first time they're seeing it and discussing it.
Okay, great.
And I think, you know, Jan, I think that brings up a good discussion. I mean, is there something more that could be done up here? It would require, you know, some earthwork and some, you know,
Right,
changes up here, but that is something, it's not off the table. Right now, I think this is illustrated as really more of a natural vegetation, natural state kind of hiking, walking kind of park-like space, but it's not to say it's something couldn't be here. To your point,
Right.
maybe something gets redesigned down here. If this is what Ari and or others thought was a better place to be, traffic would be less impactful to the residents in the area. So there could be a redesign down there even.
okay. I've always also reached out to Tuahe because they program and they're interested in this kind of thing. They're about resort development. And, you know, programming is key to their financial success. So I want to keep that option open, especially since I have so many things happening in this collaboration. And anyway, just bringing that up.
Yep, that's
So,
good.
the other two places that we're looking at putting in amphitheaters, I know you said Shoreline. Will never happen. And, what was the other one? Was it Deer Waters or Deer
It was
Springs
up
or?
at Deer Springs, phase 4. It'd be the next phase of Deer Springs right now. Oh, no, it'd be phase 3 of Deer Springs. Yeah. Next
Both of
phase.
those approved by us previously, so they're already been negotiated to be built, so to
Oh.
speak, because we've approved those plats.
Oh,
How large are they, do you know?
I don't remember off the top of my head
Yeah.
now.
cause yeah, I mean. We don't need 3, but if this is the optimal place, then.
I thought the GCD one was larger, like I remember like 200, 250 can fit, 250 people.
It's bigger than this.
I forget the exact number for the for the GCD Shoreline one, but I think it was a little bigger. It was also kind of situated even on their preliminary subdivision plan. It was situated next to the community center, the pool, the little restaurants, that kind of like little community center. I think it was a little bigger. The one in Deer Springs, I think, is a little smaller. Nate's on, he may know it. If you don't, Nate, that's fine. But I do think the one in Deer Springs is a little smaller, probably more like this. It may make sense as we look at this. If this is the right place for an amphitheater, maybe we look at it here and we revamp what was proposed for the next phase of Deer Springs. Maybe that becomes a different kind of park or vice versa, but it's just something to keep in mind that
I was
we
thinking
have a couple online.
Developers, so.
I mean, we don't have to build an amphitheater there at Deer Springs. I mean, that's flexible on what goes there. But it's gonna be open space, correct?
That's
think
right.
it's-
It's park space, open space. Right now, though, per their preliminary subdivision, it was designated as an amphitheater. Easy enough to change going back through the process. They have to come back anyway for final subdivision. So it could be reconfigured.
And I have a quick question for Jan again with exactly what she means by the programming and everything, destination. Were they talking about, or are you talking to them about something like the Canyons Resort where they have concerts and and a bar and a venue? Okay, like the
Yes.
Canyon.
Yes, that's the most potent kind of financing for a town, is to bring people in, take their money and then send them away, because we don't have to provide services for those people. And it's what Park City is about. We're 12 minutes away from Park City. We might as well collaborate and, be a greater concept of destination development.
So like Silly Market is another example I'm thinking of. That's like a destination type of
But
thing.
I feel like with what is
Yeah.
presented here, it's all residential. So I
Right.
don't, number one, where's everybody gonna park? And number
Right.
two, do we really want another amphitheater in residential space. And again, I go back to, I would move the retail either to the far right of that snaking road or the far left and add the fitness center and enlarge it. And yeah, enlarge the fitness center and move the townhomes up where the fitness center is. I mean, same density. I just personally, I don't like the retail and all that residential, right in the middle of the residential area, especially if we're not having an amphitheater, which I don't think we need. You know, you have pickleball courts, or there was, I don't know if I saw pickleball courts on here. Do you really want them right in the middle of all the residences with all the
No,
noise?
pickleball's indoor, the thing up to the top.
Is it indoor?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And that's a good question to ask. Do you want this resort related? Which of course, property values, if you look at property values of the condos surrounding Deer Valley, you know, there are outdoor concerts with the condos, they sell for double what they sell for further away. So do we want resort or do we want, you know, a different residential feel? I just think, you know, we're
Yeah, but
right next to Tuahey. And I mean, they draw a lot of value. Do
yeah,
we
but
want,
how does Hideout make money, Jen? That's where you're confusing me. I agree with you on the concept, but how does Hideout make money? By selling tickets to the event? I mean, the retail's not big enough to have an impact such as, oh, there's 200 people coming in here, they spend money and we get some taxes. That's
Right.
not, so how do we make money on this?
it would be bringing people in and inviting them into the surrounding neighborhood commercial. So let's say we have Claim with the restaurant, you know, people come and dine. They buy concert tickets, but it brings people to the area just like it does Deer Valley. I mean, I can imagine attracting a different type of investor for these kinds of condos. I mean, you know, there's a lot of money out there that is accessible by Heber Airport, but you know, we have surrounding airports where there's a certain type of person who's looking for an experience. And if they can buy a, you know, 6-month ownership in a condo that they can fly their plane to, they do it.
So I've been waiting to ask whether there's an intention for some of this to be nightly rentals. Is that what the condos and townhouses are expected to be, or what are the thoughts on that?
We don't have that information yet, but Nate is on. Nate, did you want to jump in and indicate if that's your request? Yeah.
Yeah, so you want me to start with that question first?
Sure.
Our plan is to have this be a nightly rental resort. Jan's talked to me about maybe having it be like a timeshare where you sell a house to 8 different individuals. And that was something that came up last week. And so we're just kicking that around, but we would definitely like to ask for nightly rentals in this community.
The entire community?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yep.
Even, and so the estate lots also.
Yeah.
I think it's a way to maximize value. And frankly, I think we're in the right neighborhood to attract this kind of investor, this kind of buyer. And who wouldn't buy a piece of a condo next to I don't know, interesting venue.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, you have Deer Valley East Village across the lake. You've got folks that want to come see some programming. I mean, they have great summer programming, like Spy Hop does like really cool film stuff. Sundance Institute has programming. Like, I really agree with the concept of very interesting experiences that are going to drive property values. They're going to drive sales tax for visitors. They're going to drive more, you know, permit fees. So yeah, I kind of echo what Jan's saying on some of that vision there.
Yeah, I think where Jan was, I don't know, confused or not, but where Thomas drew the line of what we're giving the town is not quite right. So what we're proposing to give the town is 15 acres, roughly 15 acres, and it goes up to the back of those houses that go up that, I want to call it the spine road that Golden Eagle put in. Those houses there, it goes all the way to the back of those houses. We'll put a road going into that property. And it takes in all of that. Not Thomas just circled about maybe a third of it. It's actually that entire open space area over there. And if you look at some of the older plats from Boulders to the other, forget what the other guy called his, you'll see that they had a lot of homes in those areas. So a lot of it is buildable. When I met with the mayor, he said, hey, what we want is we would like an amphitheater and a little bit and some acreage around that amphitheater. That's the only reason I drew an amphitheater in there. I don't want an amphitheater. There's already 2 going in the town, and it sounds like the town might have their idea of having a huge amphitheater with the 15 or so acres that we would deed them. And so that green space would just be a park. I'll get that designed for my preliminary. But right now, I said amphitheater, but I don't want it to be an amphitheater at all. I want it to just be some kind of green space with probably more like a park. And maybe we do move the, the pickleball courts and the, workout facilities. So our idea on this, and I got to get more clarity on this, but right now what we're proposing is to build 3 to 4, guys, I'm at Disneyland too. I'm sorry. So you may not, I don't know. I try to get quiet and then there's a parade going right past me here in 3 minutes and I can't get out. But our idea is to build indoor pickleball courts, 3 or 4 of them, and then build a clubhouse with a swimming pool, with a workout area, like a gathering area in the clubhouse, and opening that up to the entire town of Hideout for a fee. If you buy in the project and the development, you're part of that. If you wanted to join the pickleball courts, just the pickleball courts, you could do that, be a member of the pickleball courts. And we have to figure, I just want to see if you guys were open to this before I really dive in to see how we can do it. But they will be indoor rather than outdoor. And so that's my idea there. The stair thing, I love the stair thing. It connects the pickleball courts and those things to the lower part. And you'll see that I don't have that much commercial there because I don't believe that this is a great commercial piece. And with what's happened with the courts and things like that, we have a lot better. And so I reduced I took out the hotel. To me, it's not a winner. I don't want to do this and lose millions and millions of dollars. I was never a believer in that. I do believe there is some commercial that can work there. It's going to take some time because you have 400 or so Golden Eagle lots, you have Tuahay lots, and then you have, this subdivision, but you're probably at least talking 5 to 10 years before you see a lot of good commercial in the, like you say, a market, maybe a little bakery or a little, just neighborhood commercial, whatever neighborhood commercial is. That's our vision here, but obviously you're not going to see that for years because you got to get more homes built for this area. Let's see. The other thing, when you go look at the 15 acres we're proposing to give to the city, like I say, a lot of it's buildable, but there is some steeper areas. And we always are, as developers, are looking for places to put dirt. So we could go in and help, grub it, bring in dirt. And Tuahay, when I was looking for dirt, when I first got out to Hideout, there was all kinds of dirt to be moved around that area where I don't think it's going to be that hard to fill in some of those areas and make some flat areas for, whatever the town wants to do with this property. I'm proposing about 3 miles of trails. And my ideas of trails on this are going to be a little bit different. My trails will be about 12 feet wide rather than the 8 feet we have in the town now. And I'm hoping that they'll work out to be for snowshoeing and cross-country skiing, and you end up, at the bakery or end up at, a little eatery down there. I'm hoping this is a destination go-to area, and we will have plenty of parking at our trailhead. And so this is just a concept. like I say, I will have more of this defined at preliminary, which I hope you'll see the preliminary in the August meeting. I think I answered all the questions that, it's just like I said, it's just concepts. I have some answers for you guys, but I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this before I really got into finishing what we really wanted to do.
I agree with Joel that it would be nice to see the commercial and the, what do you call it? The fitness center and all that all together as opposed to in there, because then you got people from out, maybe, from across the street coming in and going through all this neighborhood to get to there. If you have that up front, then you don't have to disturb all the people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
I agree with Joel.
I mean, there's two different ways to look at it, like you just said, or you want to make it feel like it's a go-to destination, and it's not bad to go up into a subdivision. The one thing I didn't like what someone said is maybe bring that cul-de-sac down. You don't want a bunch of people driving through a cul-de-sac, and that's not for, if you guys are really going to do something spectacular there with Park City or whoever you're working with, Jan, you don't want to go through a cul-de-sac. You want to come right off that main road and make it easy to get to. There's nothing that will kill a development more than anything is if you don't have good access to what you guys are trying to do. And so we would I'll work that out on where that access should be. That's the easiest to get into the 15 acres we'd be deeding to the city.
Nate, this is Tony. I would prefer personally if you maybe move the fitness center and increase the size a little bit as to what, in regards to, I don't think we need the amphitheater down where it is on this, considering we have the 15 acres there, and you'll be willing to work with us by bringing in the dirt to kind of level it all off to build one there.
No dirt. No moving dirt.
Well, you're gonna have to bring somebody to level it off.
Yeah, but
Well, yeah, I wouldn't move the dirt. If you guys have some dreams, I mean, I can help get a drawing for maybe preliminary of what you can do on that site if you wanted me to, with an amphitheater, and work with Jan on that. But you are going to have to bring in some dirt if you're going to build an amphitheater and put in some landscaping and things like that. If you just want to leave it as a, like a memory, like a grove or something like that, where you come and you just hike and you meditate and relax, and we put benches in those areas. It's not going to generate any money for the town, but it's a really cool area. I mean, this has some really, really cool slopes to it. And I mean, it's what your guys' vision is. I will just deed you guys that property, and then you guys put your vision to work, and do what you want to do with it.
Well, if we move the amphitheater to that section, Nate, we could actually make it much larger than the one that's proposed down, correct?
I mean, 15 acres, it's massive. It's massive. And you could tuck it up against the hill, so you're up against the hill, or you could put it in some flat area. I don't know, you guys would have to get with some professionals that build amphitheaters and do this for a living just to see how to do it. But then we can, help you with that, drawings and things like that, and bring over some dirt where you're going to need it, from our footing and foundations, or cutting in the roads. And like I said, there is more dirt than anyone needs over at Tuahay as they're digging their footing and foundations. I mean, thousands and thousands of yards. So that's not going to be a problem. I have to just know what vision you guys have for that area. And I know you don't like to disturb ground and so forth, but to do what you're going to want to do, you're going to have to.
And Nate, I have a meeting with Summit Land Conservancy tomorrow. To the extent that we can do this as a win-win, and somehow we work with a third party, so we can use it as a venue, but you get the tax write-off for conservation. That could be interesting.
Yeah, and Yeah, we just have to work on that. So I'm, like I say, right now, the plan is just to deed over the 15 acres to whoever the town tells me to deed it to. If that's to the town, if that's to a conservancy district, whatever, I'm willing to do that for this development.
Great.
Are you willing to consider giving some money to the town to help develop that?
No,
Yeah,
put
I mean, I'm-
trails in, and the people will come.
Well,
Yeah.
That's not my question.
I haven't thought about that.
Okay, thank
I
you.
mean, to be honest, I feel, yeah, haven't thought about that.
The other thing I thought about it with that, when you brought up snowshoeing and cross-country skiing, is White Pine touring.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, people come in there and really right now it's just Round Valley, but really it's Park City, Muni.
Mhm.
That I felt where they go, there really isn't too many places you can go, like,
Yeah, I mean, you could have a lodge, a little lodge.
Or a trailer.
People could, yeah, come and buy drinks and buy something.
Yeah.
And you could have a little white post and then
Yeah.
people could do the trails.
right.
That doesn't exist anywhere.
Yeah.
In the parks.
I think you're
No.
right. It's all about the programming, and let's do yoga in the summer and that great outdoors. And I mean, it's all about that destination. And I think we can go big with this piece.
And to be honest, what you guys are talking about, I don't think is going to cost that much money.
Making trails.
That's right.
So,
I don't know.
I get a grant for the trail.
Oh, yeah.
Just got one for the park.
do you guys have any other questions for me?
Can I ask? Can I ask? No.
Let me ask the commission this, is everybody happy with what they see, along with some of the questions we've seen asked in regard to some improvements?
And Tony, could I maybe add a couple of things to that, just along that line? So here's what I've kind of taken some notes with regard to, and that is looking at maybe moving or expanding the fitness center. Maybe that could go down and supplement the commercial area. Maybe that area gets reconfigured. Maybe that kind of park, that green space, that commercial area gets moved maybe closer to the entrance. There's a little bit of separation between that and the maybe townhouses.
Yeah.
Look at accessibility for the 15 acres. If it's going to be a mass site where we're going to grade it, fill it, and do an amphitheater, we'll want to find, some parking spaces. We'll need to flatten that. Maybe we do look to UDOT because traffic will be a significant issue. Maybe we do look to negotiate something off of 248.
Thomas, can I say one more thing I forgot?
Yeah.
Right now, there is a light plan at the entrance of Tuahey and Golden Eagle. There's a traffic light plan for there.
And where is that on that map? Does it,
It's-
is it
Well,
all-
so
It'd be
Golden
off-
Eagle would be the next road down. Let's see, would that be going towards Camas?
Yeah, the other way.
Be toward the
Yeah.
end of development,
Right, so it's no, it's way over there,
but
okay.
it still would control traffic to a degree. Nate, one question, the townhomes, what configuration are they? 2, 4, 6?
I think up to 4 is what we have there. I can't, I honestly, I'm at Disneyland. I don't quite remember, but I don't want to say, because I'm not sure. And I can't tell from the drawing that's on my little phone. I know they're going to be bigger, probably 6 to 8 units because of the parking underneath.
Oh, okay.
So I bet they're larger, not larger units, but larger in mass.
Hmm.
And if you don't like that, we could just go to the normal 2 and 4 plexes. I thought it'd be great to have underground parking. Just something different that's not out there in the community right now.
So you would need to do 6 to get underground parking?
Not, I don't know, steps? No, I think you just grade it out.
No,
Units.
six units, 6 townhouses together. It looked like some of them were 6 or. Yeah,
That's probably right.
I mean, yeah.
5 or 6. So would the estate lots be custom builds?
What?
Well,
Is
custom,
that-
yeah, and they'll be a lot nicer than what I've done. I mean, Golden Eagle has some beautiful homes. It'd be similar to those.
And they'll be custom built, Nate?
Well, I have one builder that I'm buying this property with. And so when you say custom, I mean, I can't, I don't know. Let me get that for preliminary if you guys like this idea.
Okay. Alright. And where on there, because it's been a long time since we've been on that property, to visualize where where the areas, separate areas are located with the best views, like where are the best views up there?
The estate lots are definitely the best views. And then
Which
down
way?
by up by Golden Eagle, those huge lots,
Those are the best views, okay.
those are the best views. Yeah.
Well, I was just was
And
thinking,
then, yeah, I mean, there's so many good places where the townhomes have wonderful views.
the townhome-
But you're closer to the freeway, right? So you get a little bit of noise there. But they have great views. And even going up that hill, it's a perfectly sloping hill. I would say 80% of these will have really nice views.
Yeah, fine.
How about the 15 acres for the town? Are those pretty good views over there? Or is
Oh,
that
yeah.
more in that
Yeah.
trench?
Well, some of it's in a gully, right? There's some of it that is in a gully, but then as you get up that hill, I mean, some of the best views in the whole town. And I tried not to do any homes on that side. But if you look at the boulders and you look at the other gentleman's, he had homes all through there, townhomes and homes. I left that for you guys because I know Jan had this vision of, working with Deer Valley and Park City and those, and so she wanted this 15 acres. And so we just left everything out of that area so you guys could do with it what you wanted.
So Ari, when he walked through there, he actually selected this lower site rather, excuse me, than the upper because the way the sound travels is away from homes and concert viewers could look out over the lake. And he just thought this was perfect. He could start almost immediately just with an outdoor amphitheater concept just by what was in nature.
It sounds kind of like the Gorge venue in Wenatchee, Washington, where it overlooks the Columbia Gorge.
Yeah.
Red Rock, Colorado.
But if you, Jan, when I get back, I'm back on Saturday. I'll call you, and if this gets moved on to preliminary, which I hope it does, I'll have some kind of drawing that we can talk about for this 15 acres. I'll have my engineer kind of put your vision into so you guys can see it.
Okay, we have a meeting with Park City on the 1st, August 1st.
Okay.
All
and
right.
I'll call you Monday and I'll get with Eric Langvard and you can kind of just go over what you guys, as you walked it, what you thought, and I'll draw it up for you and we'll see what it looks like.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Nate, when you do that, could you see also if Eric can kind of look at what the slopes, like what would be the extent of how much gets
I
scrubbed
have
and
those.
graded? Because it's probably everything. So just showing how that rests up. Yeah.
I am not, just so you
Then it
know,
can
we are not building anything over the 30%. We stayed away from that.
Okay.
But I'll have that for preliminary.
Hey, Thomas, did the existing pond, wasn't that included before? Like, I guess I'm wondering why the lines are drawn as they are.
So right now there's different parcels. I'm only buying, I think I'm buying 3 parcels. And these are, I'm buying those parcel lines. I do not think it was included in the last drawing. It was included in the boulders because he was buying everything. I am only buying the 72 acres. I've made a verbal offer for everything else, but I have not heard back. He hasn't said, hey, write it up. He may not like my offer. I mean, this was just Thursday. It was Tuesday that I called and said, hey, I would like to try to get the other acreage with the house. But right now I am just under contract for this 72 acres, 70 plus acres. But yeah, I'm trying to get the other acreage.
And where you
But-
see this blue and these kind of red lines that I drew in, that is
Yeah.
the existing property line. So everything to the
Yes.
west of there is a different piece of property. That's what Nate's talking, could be under negotiation, but is not part of this one.
Yeah.
I just thought Loom included
They
the
did.
M. Didn't it include M?
Including because the
Yeah.
map shows up on the map, so you know what it is.
Hmm.
But it's not technically
Yeah,
part
yeah,
of.
probably. They were buying the house too.
Yeah, the pond. I am not buying the pond area right now.
So, cause that's where it would be nice to have all the kind of commercial and stuff all around that. That would be
Yeah.
the place.
The property's for sale, and if someone else gets it, then you could work with them on it. If I get it, I will definitely work with you guys on, what you want to see there too. Cause yeah, it adds, it's a cool little pond. But right now I'm not part of, I'm not buying that.
So Nate, on the other end, is the existing emergency access road gonna be paved all the way to Golden Eagle?
Yes.
And
And what I know Bob Martino wrote a letter. I've talked to Bob in emails, and I just need to get back in town. I've been out of town for almost a week and a half, and I'll work out something. If that road, if Bob's not going to let me move that road, I will lose like 4 or 5 of those lots or whatever. But then I have to pay him for the work that he's done on that road. And so I'm in the middle. I'll start negotiating with him when I get back. If you guys hated this idea, then I didn't want to negotiate with him. If you guys like what we're presented, then I'll go try to figure out that road real fast, which I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Well, I like what you presented so far.
Okay. Well,
I do too.
My takeaways are, I'll get something drawn up so you guys can see over on that vacant the 15 acres. I'll get something drawn up with the clubhouse and, the pickleball courts down lower at the main entrance where there's parking on the road there. And then we'll just do something different up above where those are located right now. Maybe move some of those townhomes up there. But I think that's about the only thing you guys have asked me to do. And I'll figure out where the best place to put the access over to your 15 acres is. So if I'm missing something, let me know, or shoot me off an email if you think of something tonight that you didn't talk about or whatever. That'd be, whatever.
Nate, if you get, and if you think about it, maybe if you're touching base with Eric early next week, let me know. We could kind of zoom in. I could go over some of the issues just to make sure it's not at all. Okay.
Well, let's just do a call with you and Jan, and we'll maybe Monday or Tuesday.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, great.
Hey, Nate, the upper
townhomes, are they gonna be underground parking also?
No, just there on the main road.
Okay. Well, then they'll have a garage, I assume.
Yeah, they'll have garages and just like they are in Deer Waters.
Yeah, I just, the only thing I don't care for is like the row home type of townhouses that if you put, 6 together, to me, that's not aesthetically pleasing. So
Let me bring something to preliminary.
Okay.
and see what you guys, see if you like it. I mean, I think you'll like it because we can make it so they don't look like a big mass. But if you don't, then we change it. That's easy. We've got enough roadway there. I mean, that road, I can't remember how wide it is, but with the parallel parking, I think it's like 80 feet wide. And so, you know, if you don't like it, we just take out some of that parallel parking and do the standard townhomes with garages in front.
Yeah, what was it? So Nate, one thing, I really do like the underground parking. It's a great idea.
Okay.
But up top, you know, if there was something else, when you add townhomes up there, if you do, I mean, if you're not gonna have underground parking, I don't think there's a reason to do 6 townhomes in a row.
No, if we just do normal garages, it'd be probably 2 or 3 together.
Yeah, I think that's much nicer than having.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's just garages, it'll be 2 or 3.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And if we do the garages right now, it's showing 6. I just need to check with Eric and I'll get some drawings of what he was thinking and present it to you guys. And you guys tell me what you think.
Okay.
And can you share with us who the builder is?
Yeah, it's Homes again. This is a little different with Homes because they're actually buying the property with me. So they're invested not just as my builder, but they're actually invested as an owner in the ground with me. So.
Does anybody else have any, on the commission have any questions for Nate or anybody else in regard to this?
The one more thing, the cabins, let's see, Meadow cabins, so how large are you envisioning those homes?
You know, it's either going to be cabins or cottages. I don't want to, I mean, they're just smaller units. So we have the estate homes that are, you know, going to be a lot bigger homes. And we have the medium lots, we have the smaller lots. And the smaller, I would imagine, will be like 18 to 2,200 square feet, cottage type cabin homes. And the bigger ones will, I mean, you know, maybe up to 4,000 or 5,000 square feet. Those lots will be, I think they're like half acre and above. And so you'll have some bigger homes on there and some, yeah. And then you have the medium, maybe, yeah. So it'll just be different, you know, different size of homes with a similar look.
Okay. These look bigger. That's what I was just wondering.
Are there any other questions? No.
Well, if not, I'll get back to Mickey Mouse and my family. So, but thank you for your time. And
Thanks, Nate.
yeah, I mean, feel free to send Thomas any questions you have, and I will. I'll get those answered and sent back when I get back in town on Monday.
Don't melt while you're in Florida.
Yeah, yeah. So, hey, well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
I'm looking forward to working with you on this project.
Okay, thank you.
Safe travels.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Item number 2 on the list, the discussion of Hideout's general plan. It's a discussion only and we will not take any action. Before we even go into this, I just want to advise all the members of the commission that we will not be discussing anything, having anything to do with Richardson Flats, and we will not be asking any questions in regards to Richardson Flats.
Hey, Tony, I have a comment about what we just listened to. And the reason I asked him if he was going to give the town money is because we breezed right over it. But if he wants nightly rentals, that's a huge economic bonus to him. And as we've discussed this, not a lot of money, not a lot of benefit to the town. And I feel very strongly that if we go with the nightly rental, he should be making some contribution to the town to help develop the green space, community space, amphitheater, whatever we think it should be.
And Peter, I would think that that is linked into the impacts that we would have with the nightly rentals and with the turnover and that type of thing.
Are,
Sure.
are the, how he described the, I just met somebody over at, Tuhane who has a timeshare. They get 2 or 4 weeks a year. Split with other people.
The fractional ownership.
Fractional, right? So that's him selling a property 8 times, right?
Yeah, it's better for him.
It's better for him. Like I'm just making the point that if we go down that path, there's economics on the table that I think we should think about.
I agree. Is there any precedent for that as the town of Hideout to
I
get a
think
revenue
that-
share or tax on that?
Is that considered nightly rental? My question.
That would be considered.
Well, I think we're still at a very preliminary situation. I think that though there has been other offers of some monetary input to the town based on impacts by having greater density on that lot, on that parcel. And so, we should talk about what those impacts are, what things could be given in order to try to alleviate some of the impacts from the development. I think it's a little too much in the weeds right now to talk about ownership or, the nightly rentals do have impacts. We do get a TRT tax for them, which is the transient room tax, which is 1%, I believe. That's just on the top, but you wouldn't be able to profit share or.
No, I'm not
that.
talking about that. I'm not talking about profit share. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, Thomas, on the Bloom project, they were giving the town a couple of $1 million, I believe.
They were looking at some dedication of some dollars for
Yes.
park or trail space or connectivity under 248 because of the impacts of having that much density up there. So
Right.
something like that might, as
Peter, do you think that's better or worse than revenue sharing that could be indefinite forever? Is there a reason why
I don't know
one
if you-
time?
I have no ability to say, I think revenue sharing. Well, revenue sharing of what, right? He sells units. You're saying, I don't know. We're getting in the weeds here. I think it's an interesting concept. I was just wanted to bring up that, right?
I agree with you.
We skirted over that nightly rental pretty quickly, but that's a lot of money. There's a lot of money on the table for that. You're talking about a completely different profile of buyer and investor. You're like sort of doubling, tripling his pool of people who will want to buy in there. And you're also meaningfully impacting his prices.
You're absolutely right. And I think this is where the EDC comes into play, because we do all of this analysis and we have Rob Sand who gives us the numbers. And so the EDC is an advisory committee to the mayor. So simultaneously, while you're looking at the concept, the EDC can be doing the financials and then advise you.
Okay.
We're not
That's all. I just wanted to bring it up so we sort of keep it in the back of our mind as this thing progresses.
I like the point. Yep.
Thomas, do you want to go forward with the general plan?
yes, let me see if I can. It's not letting me share. Give me 1 second here.
Tony, is the general plan the email you sent us about 2 weeks ago, 10 days ago with the map?
No,
No,
Okay.
that is what has been approved for Richardson Flats.
Okay.
I
Thank you.
just
I'm not in front of my computer. I'm out of town, so I just didn't remember what was what. Thank you.
There's only 2 people on the commission as it stands now that
we're here, we're participating in that, so I just wanted everybody to have a copy of it,
Got it.
given what's gonna be coming hopefully down the road.
Okay, thank you.
Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So what I thought we would do tonight is it was brought up a couple of meetings ago. Hey, let's take a look at the general plan, see if there are any needed, updates or revisions. Maybe we create an executive summary, etc. So what I thought I'd do is I'll walk through these slides pretty quickly, but as I do, ask any questions. But really, what this is intended.
Thomas, I don't think we can see your screen. That's
Can't?
No.
that's the packet we're seeing.
Not sure.
Hmm.
Maybe I need to move my screen. Let's see.
Well, hang on.
Oh.
Let's see. Try one more time.
Okay, give me one sec. Now I. Okay, I'm trying it a different way this time, so let's see if this works. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Oh, you can? Okay, good. Okay. So, as I was saying, what I was hoping to do tonight is just walk you through 10 or so slides and really get into a discussion about where you guys want to go from here in terms of looking at a general plan, an update, maybe it's an executive summary or almost a strategic plan, if you will, for the community, because I know that you tend to get into the review of planning, but you don't get to do as much planning because all of our time gets locked into applications. And so this is an opportunity to kind of just walk through some things that are worth considering over the next, 6, 8, 10, 12 months. Right now, the general plan is dated 2019. It was primarily done by the BYU planning students in conjunction with their professor, and many residents in the town at the time were pretty significantly involved in the general plan. It does include all of the foundational components that are required by state, whether that's housing, land use, economic development, infrastructure, transportation, et cetera. It's got the foundational components. It's about 181 pages long, a little bit long, which is why I think at our meeting 2 months ago, there was some discussion. Could we kind of create something that's updated and a little bit more user-friendly, probably for you guys? And so I think as we walk through a couple of these slides, it might be worth discussing, are we still on track with where we were then? What you see in front of you is a word cloud. This is based on the information and public outreach that was done during the general plan. On the left side is, what do you like about Hideout? So words that are bigger means they appeared more times based on the public input. So what do you like about Hideout? Open space, beautiful, quiet, near Park City, peaceful views, etc. What you see on the right is, what do you want to see stay the same in the community? Low development, open space, community view, charm of the town. The bigger words, bigger letters are actually, again, those responses that appeared more often. So the reason I'm showing this is this was essentially a foundation for the vision of the community, which I'll show in just a second. I suspect much of this stays the same. I guess one could argue, are we doing a good job of, maintaining, like if I'm looking on the right, views, open space, low development, et cetera. That's kind of hard to do as the town grows, but that could be examined at a later date. But I wanted to show this because this did lead to essentially the vision statement for the community. The next set of word clouds are, the left one is, what do you dislike about Hideout? and lack of trails, growth, construction, lack of public transportation, no grocery store. You can kind of see what really kind of popped out at the time. Maybe much of that still remains in place. I would note that we did do a parks open space and trail plan that is starting to address trails. I think we're getting better connectivity. So as a result of this input, we did take that on. Grocery store, you guys have been involved in a couple of the applications where we're really pushing for neighborhood commercial and potentially commercial in maybe the town center site. What you see on the right is what would you like to see changed in Hideout? You can see over there, we've got more community feel, keep it local, access to lake, again, more trails, slow the development, pace the development, things like that. And so I suspect much of this, again, remains in place, but it is worth a discussion tonight as after I walk through these slides. Do we want to reconsider additional public outreach? It may be, oh no, I can't change my slide. It may be something worth considering. That was the development, I'm sorry, that was the input back in 2018, 2019. Just as a reminder, we did have a 2022 community survey where we asked residents what they wanted to see as far as future development. You can see here that folks were generally pretty pro-commercial development. No surprise there. It's, again, been one of the focuses of the Planning Commission, the Council, as well as the EDC, the Economic Development Committee. You can see on this next slide, we asked them to rank priorities for what they believe the town needs the most. You could see here, cafes, restaurants, a bodega, a place to buy convenience foods. No surprises here. I think you guys have seen this before, but I'm just letting you know. We had the 2019 kind of word cloud input. This is 2022. We asked again about trail connections. How important is it? Is it still important? Still very important. 2/3 of the folks considered it very important. Another almost third, or yeah, about a third was somewhat, and very few said not important. No surprises there. People are strongly connected to the trails. This one is one that we don't talk about a whole lot, but it was actually a question in the 2022 survey, and it was kind of just thrown out there. There was not a lot of context given for this, and it was, would you consider supporting a bond issue? This one was for 10 million to look at, public amenities, et cetera, such as a park, maybe a kind of community gathering center. We're starting to see if we can bake those in with some of the rezonings as community amenities, as you saw tonight, whether that's an amphitheater, kind of a lawn, a green, a gathering space. We're trying to do that. But this was interesting to me because when this was asked, we didn't really give that much context. And yet you had almost 40% support without actually even understanding where it would be or what it would be, which is to say that I think the community, if it's something they want, they're willing to put some skin in the game, right? And so if whether it's an amenity in a town center, whether it's neighborhood commercial, it's potentially something that they would consider public-private partnership paying for, a bond, et cetera. So I thought that was just interesting because I suspect had this included additional detail, a site-specific amenity, you might have even seen significantly more support. And again, this was 2 years ago. Town has grown significantly since then. You might get more support.
I'll make a comment there. Since that time, our taxes have gone up extremely.
Oh,
So I'm not sure if that would be the same.
Oh, maybe not. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, Thomas, in that vein, seeing that there are more homes now than about 2 years ago, the numbers would actually change also in regard to let's say price per house that
That's
you would
right.
be on for tax wise.
That's right. You would potentially see that go down, but you're also right. The mill rate, or we've increased the mill a bit, so that may offset it. It'd be interesting, but it was just interesting to me that you had almost 40% who said, yeah, I consider that, right? Without really having a particular project in front of them. We were shocked by this. We thought the number would be much lower. So this is just to give you a little bit of context where we were in 2019, where we are to roughly today, 2022. Also thinking about the general plan, something that would be important. Again, I phrase this as a general plan. Maybe it's an update, an executive summary. Maybe it's a strategic plan. Jan and I have kind of talked about that recently. Just something, a short, definitive, prioritized document that is, pretty global slash, by that I mean regional in nature, in terms of what the town wants to do, what we want to see built, where we want to go, how we want to fit into this larger Wasatch Back region. I think that regional collaboration is going to be something that is essential as we move forward. We've got a number of, entities listed on this particular slide. I'd also, put in Mountain Lands Association of Government. They've really helped us recently with grant writing, getting some the money for the trail down in the Jordanelle State Park. But I think that baking this into an update or a strategic plan is going to be essential. This requires public outreach. It requires a bit of a hand-holding partnerships with our neighbors, but I think that that's something important that is not a part of our planning right now. In terms of specifics for the general plan, I think that we would want to make sure that we get a future land use map in here where we really do start to identify where it is that we want to see commercial development. We know now certainly the Salzman's property is an opportunity, the town-owned land is an opportunity, et cetera. But actually getting that into the plan, making sure that the community comes out, they understand it, they support it. It's not in there now. I think that would be a nice component to have in the plan. As you look at the land use goals, one of the things we might want to think about in a re-examination of the general plan is, are we adhering to our land use goals? Are these the same? Are these the right goals today? Is that worth exploring? Confirming direction. If we take a look at the that is the craziest thing. I cannot get this thing to go in the right order. That's funny. I'll come back to economic development, but tied to land use is Ross Creek, the neighborhood mixed use center. What does this look like? Again, I think it's important for the community to be brought up to date on this, to provide their input, to open house it. But this is an opportunity for them to get a much better understanding of what it is we're thinking. We hear often, we don't have enough commercial, we don't have enough this, we don't have enough that. We're working toward it, but not everybody knows it. So I think, again, incorporating it into a plan and bringing the public into that would be important. Even connected to Ross Creek, if you look back at the 2019 general plan, you could see that the idea of connecting to Jordanelle was really important back then. We haven't done a whole lot with it, but the new discussions relative to Ross Creek are, could that be a small neighborhood mixed use center? Could it connect to the recreational amenities that are the Jordanelle? Could there be opportunities for stand-up paddleboarding, boat rentals, kayak rentals, et cetera? I think that, again, we kind of talk about it in bits and starts, but putting that together comprehensively, a bit more holistically, would be helpful to the community. They don't know necessarily what they don't know. Here's the economic development goals. Are these goals still correct? Do these need to be updated? If we did something and looked at a strategic plan, are these still getting us where we want to go? Maybe the answer is yes, but I just think it's worth a re-examination, just given that the GP, the general plan, is about 5 years old. Parks, open space, and trails, we alluded to this earlier. Are these still the right priorities? The Parks, open space, and trails plan was adopted as part of as a chapter to the general plan. Are these still the priorities? Are we making the connections? Maybe it's worth looking back at this planning process that we're talking about doing over the next maybe 6 months or so, maybe looking back and saying, are these, where have we realized accomplishments versus maybe where are we shy? Where are we not dedicating the right funds to? Or have our outcomes, desires changed a little bit? And then I think it was last month or the month prior, I can't remember, where we discussed what are some of the concerns from the planning commission and things that we might want to get into the general plan or the strategic plan moving forward. There were concerns about density and the ongoing request for upzoning. I think baking a future land use plan, a future land use map into the general plan would start to give clarity to that. This is where we would consider upzoning. These are areas where we would recommend preservation of existing zoning or preservation of open space, depending what it was. There was also some sentiment for ensuring predictability for both the developer as well as the town planning commission and council. That was important in terms of making sure that we're developer friendly, yet we hold our standards to a level that we feel is creating the quality for future development in Hideout. So things like this, what I think is important is that it's probably a worthy endeavor because one, we could get an update or an executive summary for the general plan or strategic plan. I tussle between the two because we have to figure that out. But I also think going through that process and making sure it's public and transparent and bringing the public in and our regional partners probably would go a long way for us in terms of encouraging future economic development opportunities. So if I were to think about maybe next steps, maybe it's something like this. We update some of the demographic data that the community has grown significantly over the last 5 years, get some community input, work with the community, public outreach. Do we need to finesse the vision statement? Take a look at that future land use map just to address the rezoning issue and the issue of density recommendations for commercial development, et cetera. And then maybe even starting to look at small area plans, like master plans for Ross Creek, maybe for some of the other areas in the community where we are even, considering maybe the public works or a fire station on 248, starting to look at what that might look like in terms of design and footprint. And again, looking at parks, open space, and trails, that's always a big one. It has been big from day one, but really maybe that one's doing an assessment of where we've been and where we're falling short a little bit. But I think that, let me just stop sharing
Comments
this.
from the trail committee, where we actually stand in the town.
Yeah, that would be a good presentation.
Say that one more time.
We get an update from the trails committee,
Post committee.
post committee,
Yeah.
to see where we actually stand in the town in regards to that.
Yeah, we could do that. I think that what we would need to do is we haven't done the assessment of which trails have we connected. Well, we have a pretty good assessment, but it's not thorough. It'd probably be a month or so before we could get that. But certainly bringing Post in and making sure that they update you guys with regard to, we got a grant for the trail in Ross Creek State Park. That was a big win. That'll help close a loop, connect a loop, I should say, right there near the Ross Creek Neighborhood Center. Yeah, we should bring them in because they've been pretty successful over the course of the past couple of months working in conjunction with Mountain Lands Association of Governments. We could do that. As you guys, I kind of walked through that quickly by design, but as you look at that, is that something that you think is worth tackling? Because it's really looking at kind of holistic strategic planning, and it involves planning commission, it involves town council, it involves economic development committee, Post, and certainly outreach to the residents. Is that a worthy endeavor?
Oh, I think it's something we should look at and address. My only question is, with pending litigation, until that's answered, because that would address a lot of the issues that were raised.
But I think we should also look at or try to strategically plan for the, all that building that's going across the way in, what are they calling it now? East Village, Deer Valley East Village. I think we should strategically look at how we plan, because with the pending litigation, that could be a huge place for people to come and grocery shop. It could be a huge place for,
Well, we don't know what's gonna be there. If
Yeah, that's not in Hideout, is it?
no, I'm,
Okay.
I'm,
Discuss
And
that.
then,
okay, we can't talk about that, okay, sorry. But I
what,
think.
Tony, what's the litigation you're referencing?
Peter, it's not anything we can discuss now. You can call me offline.
Okay, thank you.
But no, strategically looking at the East Village.
Yeah, that
We
makes
can.
sense.
I mean, we should plan for like what that's gonna look like in 5 years and how that's gonna affect us, cause that's gonna affect us.
So I don't know what the economic development committee has really been doing, because I don't feel like we've been updated on that, but I
Yeah.
know one thing I was thinking about before with Brockbank's potential project. I think something major that we could do that would be different than anywhere else is to have a really nice restaurant that's taking advantage of our views. And because that's something, I mean, like you put a little, small little restaurant in a shopping center kind of thing, it's not the same as having something that really has nice views, and I think people would come from far away if we had
The problem with
the
speaking,
right place.
I'm on the EDC. Committee, so. Problem with getting a restaurant to come in here is their first question they're gonna ask you is how many doors do you have? And according to any good restaurateur, we do not have enough doors to support a high-end restaurant.
Well, there's a high-end restaurant at Deer Creek and there's no doors there at all. And people travel from far away to go there, and I think they're pretty successful, so I don't know that that's really the right answer. It's a matter of finding someone willing to take the chance. But also with everything going on across the way, I mean, it
They're
seems
not
like
in
it
town to
will-
hide out.
there is a future. I mean, there's so much development.
I mean, we tell them about,
Yeah,
you know.
they know.
But you also, if you live in Toohey, you have a restaurant there, you have a restaurant in the clock tower, you
Yeah.
have Courchevel,
Yeah,
that's what you're paying $200,000 for.
yeah.
I do
So a
think,
Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Jen.
Thomas and I have been discussing just recently, perhaps we use the Ross Creek parcel, which is town-owned land. We're planning an open house on that event, and perhaps we start there because it's safe, we own it. So, we start with a vision on this property and do public outreach and use it as a catalyst for understanding the bigger region and the trail connectivity and some of these other issues. It's work we can do while we're waiting to find out what the bigger picture looks like. And it's a safe place to start.
Yeah, I think Jan's right. We've also had some discussions with some of the planners in the region, really trying to get their input and get a better understanding of, to your point, Glennis, actually, to get a better understanding of what's going where around us, right? Because really the future of planning is really about where centers are going to exist, whether it is a town center, a village center, or small neighborhood centers. There's different scales of them, right? And so us understanding where Hebron, Wasatch County, and Camas and Summit County, and what happens across the lake at Extell, really understanding where they're going to be concentrating some of their development activity will play a role with where we want to put ours. I think there is definitely a movement nationwide for more unique experiences with regard to restaurant, outdoor dining, entertainment experiences. And so Deer Creek, you're right, nobody lives down there, but everybody wants to go there because they offer, well, one, good food, but two, they have a unique setting over the water. I think that in many ways we have very similar opportunities here. Small to start because our rooftops aren't that great, but we have pretty good traffic counts on 248. Camas is growing. Victory Ranch, etc. And some people, frankly, want out of Park City. We can't out Park City. Park City's Main Street, right? That has become a tourist destination. That is a resort. That's not really for locals or anybody who lives there anymore. That's now for visitors. And so I don't think we'd want to compete with that. And two, I don't think that we could. But small scale development, we have opportunities. And given that, as Jan noted, we have some land, we can start to really public-private partner and really make some small steps. But a small step at this point would be significant because we don't have any commercial right now. So anything that we get would be, I think, a benefit.
Mhm.
But I think that, yeah, we just kind of wanted to open up that discussion, that dialogue. I think you guys are generally favorable moving forward with kind of that proactive planning. And I think what maybe Jan and I need to do is kind of strategize about what it looks like and kind of put a timeline on it and really figure out that public outreach component to get the community and, in an ideal world, the region a little bit interested in what's going on here.
Tony, does it make sense for us to create some subgroup of the board to work on this? Because this is a long, important project to sort of think about updating this plan, right? It was put together 5 years ago, and the plan, the demographics and this town has dramatically changed in 5 years, right? What's the population up? 300% or something in 5 years or more?
Well, believe it or not, with Deer Mountain Affordable, et cetera, they had a pretty significant population back then. I think in 1718, which is the data they used, they were probably around 9-ish hundred, and we're probably up 150+%. And it's not slowing down, it's actually increasing the percent. And so you're right, it has changed.
Thomas, on a side note, do you have, can you just give us a brief update on where we stand with the fire commissioner and the property next to claim?
We just met with them today, and Clint conveyed some of his concerns. And if you remember that project, without getting too into the weeds, if you remember the lower portion of Tim Schoen's project, which is at the entrance to claim, where Minor Way, which is kind of the entrance to claim, hits William Wolf Road, they wanted to make a 90-degree, a full 4-corner intersection there. If you do that, we noted this in the report, if you remember, if you do that, it does not create the separation in terms of an entry point that the fire department wants. However, if you don't make it an intersection and you keep those two access points independent, it allows for a differentiation of access points, which really essentially provides two. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to remove that intersection that they had proposed and separate them. And that will meet, it should meet the fire code according to Clint. So that's what they're going to work on and send a drawing in. We'll present that to Clint probably early next week. Otto Walker is doing that.
And Thomas, that I assume also eliminates that part of property that could be the city property, so we wouldn't have to deal with that issue either.
Well, actually, what's interesting about that is we're pretty certain that that is town property. So, and we're more than willing to work with them if they need to use that for their driveway or a little bit of parking. But to answer your question, what it does is actually they'll need to use a little bit more of our property because they'll need to come a little further south to put their driveway connection into the William Wolf Road. So they'll probably ask for a larger easement on our property.
Thank you.
Should we expect them on next month or the month after?
I bet they'll be here next month. They're wanting to go pretty quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So yeah, what I'll do is I'll kind of take this information, I'll coordinate with Jan, we'll figure out kind of next best steps. To Peter's point, maybe it is getting a couple of people from the planning commission, maybe even a couple of council members, a couple of EDC members, kind of create almost this strategic plan steering committee. So maybe we'll think about that, and Jan, maybe what we'll do is coordinate and then reach back out to the commission.
Sounds good.
That work? Okay. Yep, we'll keep you guys posted. But if you guys have any thoughts outside of the meeting, don't hesitate to shoot me an email and say, hey, another thought I have for this planning process might be blankety blank. Just send it over.
Anybody have any questions for Thomas?
Can we get an update on what the Economic Development Committee has been doing, like what their thoughts and suggestions have been? Because I kind of feel like we're a little bit in the dark on that.
I'll talk to Jan about that Monday at our next meeting and see what she would like to do if she chairs that.
I just had a question because I had a neighbor ask me down below Shoreline One there on Lariat, I believe, Court. And they were just wondering, I don't know, Thomas, if you know what's going on in Dead Man's Gulch. You know, Dead Man's Gulch, but down
I do.
where,
Yep, I do know that area. What is there a concern down there with regard to
they're
something?
moving a lot of dirt.
They're raising the gulch.
They're raising the gulch.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
it keeps.
They're
breaking it all the time.
Yes,
But-
planning for global warming.
But-
Yeah, all the dirt.
Is there a reason why they're raising the gulch? Is that where our, you know, community pool is going to
That's there
go?
for the amphitheater.
The amphitheater?
That probably, I bet that area is pretty close to phase at the initial preliminary. That would have been phase 9. But what's that?
Was it, yeah, phase 9 / phase 4?
That's correct. It was phase 9. It's probably becoming phase 4, not formally yet, but I suspect that application will come in. We'll take a look at that because according to the preliminary subdivision, Dead Man's Gulch is to be preserved. Those trails down there are to be preserved. And so if there is some serious impacts, I'll work with Gordon, the new town engineer, and we'll take a look at that because
Well, the
I
bottom
there was some.
has been gone for a
Yeah,
while.
for a long time and.
For
then
like
got
about a
all
year.
wet, 2 years. It got all wet and you couldn't even use the trail.
Okay, we will look at that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions in regard to the general plan?
Do we need another survey or are we pretty good with are we happy with the 2022 survey?
You know, let us think about that. I think we might benefit from something new, but let me coordinate with Jan. What do you guys think? I mean, do you think 2022 covers it? Did it roughly stayed on track, but was it detailed enough? Did it provide enough information for you?
Well, we did one in 18-19, we did one in 22. You know,
Right.
I would say we wait till next year.
Yeah, maybe we wait. Okay.
And then also if whatever Jan was talking about, the economic area there by Ross Creek. If they're planning something for that, maybe we ask questions then.
I think that that is exactly what we're thinking about. So if we would like to do some public outreach, invite the community in, ask them some questions about Ross Creek, and then probably take the opportunity to ask them some more large scale questions about the community as a whole, kind of tying it all together, but maybe using Ross Creek as a bit of the focal point just because it is town owned. So I think that is a good idea. Maybe almost like an open house with some boards and providing them input opportunities.
So Jan had mentioned an open house on Ross Creek. Is that soon? Because I kind of don't want to wait till 2025 for a survey.
We're tentatively thinking the 3rd or 4th week of August. So kind of keep that on your calendar. Right now, we're leaning towards
I
the
think
3rd
that's
week.
gonna get pushed back to like October maybe, due to what's going on. So we have some answers.
We're talking about just the Ross Creek area for an open house.
Yes.
So As an EDC, we've met with a lot of different people on different concepts, and it's sort of an opportunity to invite the public in and just to weigh in on what they'd like to see in this little bit of neighborhood commercial. What do you want in your area? So, yeah, of course, we do need to understand the bigger picture, and there's a reason to wait for larger scale strategic plans. But I think this Ross Creek could be a very good start to just start the balls rolling and invite people in and hear what they'd like in their community.
Cause we've also grown, even in just the 2 years from 2022, quite a bit. And that's another reason why I thought maybe it would behoove us to put it out there again.
Agree. And there are a lot of people like in Golden Eagle who have purchased lots, and their views are important, and this could be a way to involve that community as well.
True.
I'll have to look at that. Yeah, well, certainly our footprint has grown over the past 2 years. I mean, our the reach, the geography, for sure. Okay, Jan and I will coordinate that. We'll bring something back to you guys and get that moving forward.
Okay.
I think that'll
Thank
be a
you.
good project. Okay. Thanks, guys.
There being no further business in front of the commission, would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that we,
Adjourn.
adjourn.
Second.
My fault.
Dennis falls asleep. Okay, we'll take a vote on that. Rachel,
Yes.
Joel.
Yes.
Tony, yes. Donna,
Yes.
Linus,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Chase.
Chase.
Chase is gone.
Wake up.
He's putting the kids to bed.
He
Yeah,
believes
sorry.
That's fine. That's-
On mute. The kids in the background, sorry.
Next month is August 15th and probably August 22nd. We'll probably have to meet twice next month. Alicia, off the top of your head, do you know who's briefing the town council next month?
Okay, thanks, you guys.
I know it's not me.